Are you looking to grow revenues, increase profitability, or obtain financing? If so, you came to the right place.
Running a business is all about leadership. How do you become a better leader? Learn from the successful entrepreneurs and business owners how to lead your organization more effectively. That's why we created Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business, to help you succeed with your host, Andrew Frazier, Business Growth Pro and CFO and founder of the Small Business Pro University. Every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, we're joined by experienced entrepreneurs and business owners who share their secrets to success via live stream. Also, every Friday morning, we release a new podcast episode. Either way, you will learn about developing your business leadership skills from our roster of highly performing guest experts. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbpro.u.com.
Good evening and welcome to Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business. I'm your host, Andrew Frazier, and once again, I get to do one of my favorite things every week is talk to business entrepreneurs, thought leaders who can share valuable knowledge and information to help you be able to run your business more successfully. At the end of the day, your business can only go as far as you're prepared to take it. And your ability to take it where, as far as you can is based on your leadership skills. That's why it's called Leadership Live. And the key is to be able to develop your leadership. But how can you do that? By learning from other leaders. So that's really what our focus is this evening. So excited about my guest, Roz. She's an expert and helps make other people experts. So she's the expert maker. And here she is. A little bit about her. She's has Expert Maker TV. She's been in the business, and I'm going to let her talk more about what she does because she knows better than I do. So let me take a second and bring her on. Hey, Roz, how you doing this evening?
Hey, Andrew. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm great. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation. I appreciate it.
Okay, excellent. So, definitely looking forward to learning a lot of key things that you can share. But before we do that, it'd be good to learn a little bit more about you. So, if you could take a few minutes, kind of let people know a little bit about, how you got to where you are, where you came from, and some of the key things that shaped your journey.
All right. So I spent 20 plus years in the television and media industry as a reporter, anchor, and news producer. And I then morphed into owning my own business. I owned a production company for a long time. But it turns out my true, and I had to learn this, my true genius comes from uncovering other people's expertise and helping them tell their story. So as the expert maker, and that's a name that I didn't give myself, a client actually gave it to me, I help people to convert their expertise into a profitable brand. I'm also the author of a soon-to-be released book called Know It, Share It, Profit. As you mentioned, I also am the host of a television show called The Expert Maker. And it's a 30-minute television show, which is a business makeover show. We take one entrepreneur, and my team and I, team of graphic artists, social media experts, industrial design experts, marketers, salespeople, we take one business owner and we transform their business. We build a personal brand for them. We help them move from being the best kept secret into the go-to person in their industry. It's all about positioning yourself. Once you have figured out what your knowledge is, what your expertise is, who it is you want to help and how you want to help them, then that's when you need a team to come on in and help you to position yourself as the authority in that industry. And that's who I am. That's what I do. I lead a team of experts to help other people become the go-to people in their industry.
Excellent. Excellent. So definitely in this day and age, you want to be the go-to person. So definitely looking forward to learning for myself and for my audience. So
It's what makes you stand out.
yes.
In any industry, there's going to be competition. There'll be other people who do what you do,
Mhm.
but you need to stand apart from the others. And this kind of personal branding that my team and I do is what makes you stand out.
Okay. Excellent. So I look forward to really digging into that. But
Okay.
before we do that, we run our programs through the Small Business Pro University. So it's always good for people to know a little bit, what is the Small Business Pro University? So we're going to take a minute video and we'll be back talking small business with Roz, the expert maker.
Do you own your business or does it own you? Is your business growing and are you making enough money? As a business owner, there are so many things you need to know to become more successful. Hello, my name is Andrew Frazier, the Business Growth Pro and CFO. I created the Small Business Pro University for you. Small Business Pro University has self-paced, dynamic, multimedia learning experiences created by more than 20 instructors who are business owners just like you. Small Business Pro University will empower you to become a masterpreneur by learning the secrets to creating a successful enterprise, to go from working in your business to working on your business. Take advantage of our strategic coaching program or just simply choose the courses that you need. At www.sbprou.com, we will empower you to thrive and not just survive and make more money in any business environment.
All right. Well, welcome back. Hey, Roz.
Hey.
Hey. So, definitely business is changing. Technology has really changed business and changes it, been changing every 5 years, every 2 years, every year. Now it's almost like every month and every week. Technology is changing business. And, what are some of the changes you're seeing and how does that impact and play into what you do for people?
I think with things like Chat GPT, we can move things quicker. There are more things that entrepreneurs can do on their own, to be honest. Things like writing prompts. We used to have, it would be needed to have a very large team of writers to get something done. But with Chat GPT and other kinds of AI, we're starting to see people who are smart enough to utilize this new technology cut the time that they need in terms of succeeding. So things that used to take several years to do, now you can do within a couple of months and so on. So I think that that's really what's changing. It's just the speed in which we are moving through business, the speed in which you have to keep up with in order to keep up with your competition.
So the speed of business is really increasing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, you have to keep up with this. You and I were having this conversation recently about the AI tools that are now available, and we were sort of comparing notes.
right.
I know that people are coming to me with, I'm thinking about writing a book. Now the Chat GPT can write it for me. Yeah, it can give you some prompts, some ideas. It can help your creativity at least start to flow. But I still think that, granted, it's available to you, but you don't want to lean 100% heavily on it. You still need to bring your own creativity, your own zhuzh, your own vibe, your own flex to what it is you do in your business, especially if you're like an author or a speaker. Those creative jobs that everybody thinks is going to go away, I don't think so. They may, fade out a little bit. But when we all realize that when you're using ChatGPT, everybody's starting to sound alike, it's going to get boring real quick. So that individual creativity isn't going to go away.
Okay. So, and that leads back to standing out as an
Mhm.
expert.
Mhm.
And, what does it take to be an expert, and what does being an expert really even mean?
Thank you. That is such a good question. People often ask me or say, I'm not an expert. They get real freaked out about that word expert. And expert simply means, when I utilize it, you know more about a particular topic or subject than the average person knows. You know, 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of someone who doesn't know and needs to know. So it means that you have been trained in an area. You may have had experience in an area. Life may have caused you to gain resources, get tips and tricks about a specific subject. So, what we do is we help people what I call uncover their genius, which is let's look at your knowledge base. What is it that you know? What have you been trained for? What have you overcome? What experiences have you had in a specific area that forced you to learn more? Did you have to come up with new systems, or did you have to create your own way of doing things in order to get from point A to point B? So that's what this is about. It is, what is your knowledge base? What is it that you know about? What is it that you are passionate about? One of the other things that I talk to people about is, who do you want to help? Do you have that sense of, this is a group of people that I want to help with? What's that with thing? What's that fill in the blank, right? Whether it is financial information, business information, more of the soft things like emotional kinds of things. And it could be life-oriented things, or better living, gardening, organizing, all of those things. It's that thing where someone calls you and says, hey, can I pick your brain? That's your expertise. They're calling you because they know that you are the go-to person when it comes to a specific subject. So expert simply means that you have been trained or you have experience in a specific subject, and you might want to take it further, convert that knowledge into a business, because you can understand, you can bet that here's the other one that will show you your knowledge base. What advice have you been giving out for free? With the Expert Maker, our job is to help people stop giving away their knowledge for free, because very often the audience that you give it to don't value it and won't necessarily follow your advice, but to turn that knowledge that you've been giving away for free into profit. Value your knowledge, and someone else will as well.
Okay. So definitely you have to have confidence in yourself to do that, and believe in yourself. Many people do not have confidence in themselves. So how do you help them be able to do that successfully?
That's a good question too. That imposter syndrome is real. It is real. Anytime that you start to do something and then question yourself, like, am I really the person to do this? Other people are already doing it and doing it well. I often do this exercise with clients and people who attend my workshop, and it is called Confidence in a Column, where I have them create 3 columns. Column number 1, you write down something positive that someone has said about you, whether it's, wow, you are so good at organizing, or you're so productive. What is that positive thing that someone has said about you? So you write that down in column 1. Column 2, you answer the question of, what was the experience, or what happened to cause them to have that positive comment about you. So let's say if they had said, "Oh, you are so productive." Well, they watched you, let's say, put together an event from soup to nuts. You had everything coordinated. Everybody was in place. It went off on time. It was successful. So that event is what caused them to have that positive thing to say about you. In column 3, just answer yes or no. Was it true? Did you do that particular thing? Did they witness you? Was the positive comment correct? Yes or no? And just sort of list out lots of things that you've ever heard about you in a positive light and do that exercise. That is an amazing confidence builder because you will look at yourself in a different light. You'll look at yourself in a way that others see you. Major confidence booster.
Okay. Okay. So now you're familiar with Myers-Briggs and the different personalities. And
Mhm.
one of the combinations is introvert versus extrovert. And,
Right.
it seems like introverts have a lot more difficulty with this than others. Um, but also, introverts probably tend to be more knowledgeable about what, or more of an expert, or is that what you find? Just not able to comfortable sharing it as much.
You know what? I think that it's equal. It's balanced between the introverts and the extroverts that I know and that are clients of mine. It's a thing that I hear regularly from everyone. I need to get myself out there more, right? Introverts and experts extroverts both say that. I got to get myself out there more. And that's kind of why my business exists. We get you out of your own way. We'll toot your horn for you. We help you position yourself. We help you get the visibility that you need. We don't have those blocks in our way that you have in your way, introverts and extroverts. We don't have those little voices stopping you from doing certain things. We know because we've interviewed you, we've gone through consultations with our clients. We know how much you know. We also know that there's someone waiting for you to share your knowledge. There's someone out there needing to know what you know. There's someone out there needing your help. And so we just get them out of their way and do the work for them.
Okay. So you mentioned positioning, and not everybody really knows what that means. And can you talk a little bit about what is positioning and what might position, like how much, what are some ways that you would position people?
All right. So when I talk about positioning, I'm talking about being seen as an authority or an authority figure in your industry. And a lot of it comes down to being visible. So it might be writing articles. It is certainly speaking from the stage. It means hosting workshops. It means being seen, having a social media footprint. We should be able to go to your Instagram, your LinkedIn, or whatever your favorite platform is and see you talking, showing and displaying your expertise in your specific topic. So that's what I mean. It also means having awards, doing a TED Talk. All of those things lend to your credibility. All of those things lead to you being seen as an authority figure in your industry.
All right. So, definitely positioning yourself the right way and looking versus, how else is out there. And also, what your expertise is versus the universe. So once you're positioned, you still have to get visibility. So you help people with visibility. So, what are some ways that people can get visibility? And I know it depends on the person, the industry, but what are some factors that go into where you focus on getting them the visibility and how?
I think that I just described things like your social media footprint. Are you posting regularly in front of your ideal client? Do you know what your ideal client's problems are? What are their challenges? So you should always be answering those kinds of challenges. Whatever industry you're in, there are people who are struggling with something. Find out what those top 30 things are. Talk about those 30 things one at a time on your social media platform, or create a speech around them and get speaking engagements. So when you are in the forefront and visible in your industry, that's the kind of thing that helps you position yourself. That's what I mean about being positioned. You're positioned and seen as the go-to person.
So this all sounds well and good. It sounds easy, but is it? And if someone's going to go from where they are to where you bring them, is that a day? Is that a week? Is that a month? Is that a year? And how do they usually have to go through a transformation? So, what does that look like?
You know what? Forgive me if I made it sound really simple. It became simple to me after 4 years of doing this. So, that you became a star overnight kind of thing. Yeah, it took me 10 years to become a star. Yeah, that's it is a journey. And the journey simply starts with you figuring out very clearly what your message is, what's your topic, right? That's step one. Step two is to determine who is it that is interested in this topic. So you figure out your ideal client. I talked a little bit about understanding what the biggest challenges are for that ideal client. It also means strategically, not just posting about anything, not just posting about everything. One of the big things about becoming an expert in any industry is to talk about one thing, two maximum. You can't talk about real estate one day and gardening the next day and IT and then going on and on, because people can't place you. They don't know what it is that you specialize in, right? You can't be a jack of all trades in the expert industry. You have to pick a topic, consistently work on that topic, learn more and more about that topic, only talk about that topic. It's funny, people say to me, Roz, you've done a TED Talk. What's your second one going to be about? Well, to be honest, I only talk about one thing. I think I've only got one TED Talk in me, because I only talk about people discovering their knowledge, determining who it is that needs that knowledge, and then learning how to create products and services so that they can monetize that knowledge. So it's strategic. It is getting a marketing plan together. It is getting a social media plan together. It is creating a signature speech or 2 or 3 signature topics that you can talk about under one umbrella, finding an audience to consistently be on the stage in front of, writing a book potentially, having a blog, having a podcast. All of those things come in time, unless you're working with, honestly, a team. And usually people don't start off working with a gigantic team of marketers and graphic artists and speech writers. You will eventually get to that point where you need those people in your life. But you just simply start off simple. Be consistent in your topic, post consistently on social media, work to get speaking engagements, work to get awards as well, so that there is that outside objective view of your work as excellent. Work on your publicity, getting articles, getting interviewed by the media. All of those things take time. It could take a year, 2 years, 3 years by the time you really solidify your message and have honed your craft to the point where others are interested. In the meantime, you're going to be pitching your message, not necessarily you, your message, and then people, others, outsiders start to become interested in what it is you're doing. I hope that answered your question.
So yeah, definitely. But that brings to mind another question.
Mm-hmm.
So if it takes you a year, how do you survive? Because you still got to make money and live. So that can be a challenge.
Most people tend to keep their full-time jobs, mm-hmm. or do other things on the side, or this becomes just sort of a side hustle until they've built up that kind of positioning where they can move it to a full-time thing and pay the bills.
Yeah, no, definitely. A lot of people think that, oh, I'm tired of my job, let me go be an entrepreneur. For strategy. Or I just got laid off, let me go start a business.
I agree. You know why? Because the thing about it is, being an entrepreneur and owning a business, or the idea of being an entrepreneur and owning a business, can be so sexy. You think that, of course, I bake the best cookie, so I'm going to be really successful in business. But there's so much more to it. You've got to figure out how to sell those cookies. Who's going to buy those cookies? How much are those cookies going to cost? How many of them can you make? Who else can help you? Are you just going to be baking those cookies by yourself? Or can you scale with the right people that you can? So hiring then becomes an issue. Firing becomes an issue. You need to be as smart in firing as you are in hiring. There's just so many aspects to owning a business that you simply will not know. You're not going to know them. So groups like, yours and what you do with Small Business Pro is so helpful, because there's just so many aspects to a business, to running one successfully. The whole financial portion of it, getting business credit, all of that stuff. That stuff that honestly, you cannot know all of. You just won't. There's just no way that you know it all.
Right. But what you don't know can still hurt you.
Oh,
so that's why it's
very badly
to learn as much as you can and find the right people to collaborate with, to know more. One of the things that I see a lot is, people starting out in business, or even been in business a fair amount of time, is they're woefully unprepared for what they need to do, and they don't even realize it. So
but you know what happens? You quickly or eventually become very aware of your shortcomings. Full transparency. One of my areas that was shortcoming was just simply systems and my SOPs, my standard operating procedures. That wasn't, I come from more of a creative background. That was very left brain or right brain, whatever brain portion of the brain I wasn't using. I had no idea. I recognized that it was a shortcoming. I also recognized that it was not my expertise, and I need to find some experts that can handle that portion for me, or at least teach me how to do that.
So, no, definitely. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to go in it. One of the things that you talked about that I really liked is, you have to plan. You have to have strategies. You have to, and the first plan that you have to do is your marketing plan. You mentioned how, you need to know your topic or your product, but you also have to know the ideal client and your target market. And
Exactly. You need to know not who needs your services or your knowledge base, but who wants it and will pay for it. Two
yep,
very different things. People who need it very well may not buy it.
right.
You know, one of the things that I see, and it's just my pet peeve, it makes me crazy when I see these things, these posts about, oh, if your friends aren't supporting your business, why would your friends support your business? Why on earth would you ever create a business that depended on your friends and family to buy from you? That's not a business plan. Please stop doing that. And please stop being angry with your friends who don't support you. They're not supposed to. They may
Well,
not be your ideal client. Stop looking to them to help you out.
right. And you should look to yourself to deliver something that they want.
Not
A
your
lot
friends
of,
and family. They
yeah,
love you, but they can't buy from you constantly.
right,
You
right.
don't want
And
them to. All right,
definitely.
that was my pet peeve. I'm done with that though.
Okay.
I just
But
need to get that off my chest.
right. But there's a lot of people who don't really understand the product target market thing. And actually one of the and many times people don't even understand that sales is different than marketing or
Mhm.
what marketing even is.
Or
Um,
that branding is different than marketing. Or yeah, because marketing is its own animal. It is its own industry. It is you think that it's because you can see someone else marketing that it's easy to do. It's not necessarily. You know, it's funny when I was a television reporter,
mhm.
people always assumed, well, all you do is you sit in front of the camera and you talk. That's got to be pretty easy to do until they get in front of the camera and realize, oh, this isn't as easy as it looks.
Yeah.
So, you don't know what you don't know. And I am truly a believer in going ahead sometimes and jumping. It's all right not to know all of it in the beginning. As you move forward in your entrepreneurship, doors will open. You'll be introduced to people. You'll be networking, hopefully, and you'll meet those people along the way that can help you.
hmm So, definitely, you know, those are key pieces to really being able to move forward. Your friend told me once that, basically there's only two ways to learn in business. Um, you learn by doing the work to figure it out, or you learn by losing money. And, you know, which one would you prefer? Um, of course, all of us lose some money. I have to admit that too, because it's an investment. But you don't want to do all your learning by losing money, or you won't be in business too long. So, so those are some key things. So we're covered some good stuff. Very excited. Definitely
And you
invite
know what?
questions.
Forgive me, I am about to lose power. So my machine is not plugged in. So if you've got a commercial that you want to run or something like that, I may need to go to black for a moment.
That's fine. Actually, I was thinking that we could share a little bit about, if you're looking for knowledge, I have a few books that might be of interest. So, my original book, Running Your Small Business Like a Pro.
Growing revenue, increasing profitability, and obtaining financing are the results of running your small business like a pro.
This is really the path to achieving the success that most entrepreneurs and business owners are looking to achieve. But it's a path where most people get stuck between step one and step two.
Businesses close every day because their owners were not able to create a successful, sustainable enterprise. If you do not create an enterprise, the only way that you can sell your business successfully is you sell yourself with it.
This book is a common sense guide for learning how to run your small business as a professional enterprise.
You can pick up the book as a new entrepreneur
or as a seasoned entrepreneur and get something out of it. It's very educational.
It provides a fundamental understanding of the challenges small businesses face with real-world solutions that drive results.
Life examples of what happens in business with cash flow, handling money, very, very accurate, and they were experiences that I've had.
Structure. If I do a shoot, I know that there are certain steps that I have to take to get me to where I need to go. But when it comes to business, I didn't have the same sense of what needed to be done. Andrew helped me see systems, the steps we take to grow a business. So he's helped systematize it.
I worked with a client who was looking to retire and sell his business and expected to get over $500,000 for it. However, when I assessed the business and looked to figure out what the value was, it was less than $100,000. Why was this? Because he didn't create an enterprise. The business was centered around him, and without him, there wasn't a business. This book helps you to understand how to create an enterprise where it can run successfully without you.
Get your copy today. Andrew Frazier's new book online at www.runningyoursmallbusinesslikeapro.com. Also available on Amazon.
Okay. All right. Welcome back to Leadership Live at 805 Talking Small Business. I'm here with Roz, the expert maker, and she's got a copy of my book.
I do have a copy of your book. I have a copy of your book, and I periodically need to go through and pull up a chapter on whatever issue I'm currently dealing with. So, yes, get your copy today. Running your small business like a pro.
There we go. The more you know, the faster you grow. So we've been talking about becoming an expert, making an expert, but in business today, I've heard and I sort of think that every business really needs to be a media business to some extent. Is that something that you agree with? And if so, why? If not, why?
Are you saying a media business?
A media or be a media business or in media or very heavily in media as part of the business.
Yes, and I do agree. Whether it's owned media or earned media, and the difference between the two would be owned, for lack of a better term, would be your platforms that you utilize to get your message across. Whether it's your blog, your podcast, social media, granted it's owned by someone else, but your account is what I'm talking about. Earned media is where an outside organization like a CNN, CBS, NBC reaches out to you and you become a go-to expert where you may be commenting on something specific within your industry. So yes, I think it is really very important. It's part of the visibility. And for those of us who convert our knowledge into a business, it really is vital. With all of my clients, we talk about them writing articles and being guests on other people's show. You don't have to necessarily have your own podcast, but being a guest on other people's podcasts, popular podcasts that talk specifically to your audience, it really is vital. It really is vital. I think I probably am going to lean more toward media because that's my background, but those who have no experience in media at all really need to take a very, very close look at media as part of their business.
Okay, excellent. So, a little while back, I was on a seminar because I'm always liking to learn new things. And the guy who was speaking was like, well, if you like to write, then you need to be a blogger. If you like to speak, you need to have a podcast. Or if you like to, be on video, you need to have a live stream, but you need to have one of those three. Is that the case, or what are your thoughts on that?
No, I do. I absolutely agree. As I said, because I have a media background, then I understand the power of the media. Understand this, though. Being interviewed on television, on radio, on podcasts does not equate and equal dollars. It equals visibility, not necessarily sales. You have to have a product in order, or service in order to sell. And you have to be able to, media needs to be part of a strategy. So if you do become a guest on a podcast, it means that you need to be promoting the fact that you're going to be a guest. It means that when you're on that podcast, you need to talk about, if the host allows you to, talk about what's coming up in terms of your products, where you can be found online, telephone numbers, your contact information. All of that should be part of why you're actually making the appearance.
Excellent. So
Strategy.
so you're not just trying to be visible. You have to be
No,
visible.
visibility has a purpose.
It has a purpose. You have to have a plan, a strategy, and part of that plan needs to be who should you be visible in front of. Be visible as you want in front of the wrong people.
Right. And that would just simply, earnestly, be a waste of time, energy, and money to be talking to a group of people who don't need your product or services just to be talking.
Yeah. And actually in my book, one of the people I worked with, she used to sell dolls, and loves
Used to sell what?
Dolls. She used to make dolls and sell them.
Yeah.
And she would love to go to vending events, but would have a difficult time.
Mhm.
So I was like, well, why don't you go to doll conventions instead of just regular vending? And she would sell out. So, you got to go to where the right people are.
It's what I talked about before. It's not only who needs your product or service, it's who wants it and who's going to be willing to pay for it.
Correct. And how do you figure that out? Because, it's one thing, you need it, but, sometimes that's elusive. So what are some strategies for really being able to figure that out?
Oh boy, you know what? I have found that it is trial and error. And you can go in assuming that one particular group is going to be your audience, and you will get fooled. So for instance, when I started my business, I just knew it was going to be women. Women were going to be the ones who I would help uncover their genius, organize their information, create products and services, and monetize their message. I was shocked at how many men were interested in this subject. That was a real surprise to me. So I think as you step out and start to position yourself and answer questions and put yourself out there, you will see who your audience is. You'll start to see who resonates with your message, who comes out, who contacts you. So you very well may start off thinking it's going to be one group and get surprised, and it is a larger group than you anticipate, or a different group than you anticipate.
Definitely agree with that.
What about you? What about you, Andrew? Have you found that as well? Or
Definitely.
did you know your audience and that's who came to you?
No, actually, it's interesting because your audience also evolves. Each year or two, my whole business changes. From teaching to coaching to consulting to training. It depends on the needs. You have to be market driven.
Right.
So, you have to be flexible. But one thing that I've found is you can more successfully find your target market the more time and effort you put into your market research.
Yes.
Many times people start just guess, I think this is my target market, let me go after it. A lot less likely that it's their target market than if you actually did some
Did the market research,
analysis.
yes.
So
Mhm.
taking the time to do the plan, even though it seems like it's slow, or sometimes slow is fast and fast is slow. And
It's a big part. It really is a big part of what you have to plan in advance. Plan that time out and give yourself more time than you think you will need, because it will take more time than you think you will need.
Yeah, and research. You know, actually in my book as well, there was a story. You know, I worked with the woman who sold fitness rated jewelry for women.
Mhm.
So that celebrated women's fitness accomplishments. And you know, she saw her target market as women. But after the analysis and looking at who was really buying from her, it was actually men buying it for their women. So she was marketing to the wrong people.
Wrong people. Yeah.
So
You know what? I think this case in point, you're going to make some mistakes
yes,
in business. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. At least I've made a lot of mistakes. Maybe other people make fewer, but I've made a lot of mistakes, wrong missteps. But recognize that you can come back from anything. It's like, it was just, not a failure. You just learn what not to do. Keep it moving. Keep it
yeah.
moving.
Same here. Same here. You're never going to get it all 100% right. But the target market thing is so important to the success of your business.
It really is.
You have to take it
It
seriously.
really is.
And you know, the more you invest in that research and planning and strategizing, you know, that's one of the biggest and best investments you can make in the success of your business.
You know it's interesting. I've noticed in the last 18 months, there's a different group that's coming to me, and it is people who have been working full time and are ready to transition out of being an employee to being a founder or being an entrepreneur. That wasn't who was coming to me before, but for some reason, that is the group now that is resonating with my message.
Okay, and that makes sense. Like I said, you know, your market evolves.
Yes.
You know, different people are going to see you and understand what you're offering, and may want to utilize it in a different way or for a different purpose. So, so no, that's common and be expected. And then also as you progress, you know,
Right.
what you do changes. You learn more. Like every year, given what I do, I learned so much that I'm almost like twice as good as I was the year before. So then I can go, you know, then I have the ability to solve different and more problems.
Good point.
So
Good point. Absolutely. Good point.
so
Mm-hmm.
and also
You find there's new things that you pick up along the way, and it's like, oh, well, okay, this is something else I can offer to my clients. I didn't know it a year ago, but here is this new information that I've come upon, and I see how it could benefit my clients. We were talking about YouTube optimization a year ago. I didn't get that.
right.
And now it's, okay, my clients could use this. So
Mhm.
let me get even more educated on this so that I can service them better.
Right. And then once you have clients and you're satisfying them, they generally want you to do other stuff. So that takes you in that direction as well,
Yep.
along with technology changes. So
That and they refer their colleagues and friends to you.
right. And you never say no to an opportunity unless you definitely can't do it. Or
May disagree with you on that.
all right. Well, maybe not never say no, but at least if someone refers someone to me, I'm either going to be able to take care of myself or I'm going to help them find the people who can take care
Right.
of them.
Yes. Okay. In terms of a referral, absolutely. I'm going to go out of my way to help. But as I grow in my business, as I grow and age,
Right.
I'll say no
Right.
more often.
Right. No, and that's correct. I'll say you don't leave them hanging.
No, never leave
You
anyone
help
hanging.
them
Absolutely not.
find the right solution.
Yes, I agree.
So that's cool. So, one of the crazy things about this show is it ends too fast. So we're bumping up, real close to 9.
Really?
Yeah, it's like
Wow, okay.
8:53, and but that's time flies when you're having fun.
When you're having fun, when you're talking about something that you enjoy, something that you're passionate about, it's clear that time flies.
Yes, definitely. So, so before we close out, I want to definitely, we talked about a lot of stuff, and a lot of times people can't really remember more than 3 things. So, I always like to leave people with 3 key takeaways of actionable things that they can work on, starting tomorrow. So, definitely, if you could think of that and share it. I'll give you a minute. We'll do a quick video, and we'll be back with Roz's 3 key takeaways that you should have from our business here.
The first book, people really liked and found it valuable, but to get more out of it, I put together a workbook.
Okay.
So,
Nice. Okay.
one of the things we talk about is your greatest fear as a business owner,
Right.
which is numbers and analysis. So in the book, we talk about, your financials, your financial statements, what you should look for, but just reading about it versus doing exercises on it, that really helps you to understand it better. We also have the 60-second commercial format.
Right.
And
This
in
is great.
here,
Some real good exercises. Yeah.
you can create
Very
your own.
interesting.
So it allows you to really take what you read about and actually employ it for you and for your business.
Excellent.
Welcome back. Here at Leadership Live at 8:05, talking small business. I'm here with Roz, the expert maker. And we've really had a great conversation about really how to go from the best kept secret to the go-to expert. But it's a journey. It's not going to happen overnight. And there's a lot of key things along the way that you have to learn and develop. But to get started and move forward from where you are, Roz is going to share 3 key things that you should look at doing, and you can actually start doing them tomorrow, or if you're like me and a night out, you can even start tonight. So, Roz, what are they?
All right. So I think there are 3 questions that you should ask yourself to uncover your genius. How about we do it that way? You probably have something that you don't realize is valuable in terms of your knowledge. So here are 3 questions to ask yourself. You can ask yourself that tonight. 1, when people call and say, let me pick your brain, they want to know about what? Question number 2, what have you overcome? Whether it was a personal problem, a business problem, a starting your own business problem, what have you overcome? And question number 3, what comes to you naturally? I'm talking about that thing you can do with ease, that thing that you cannot figure out for the life of you, while other people can't do it as quickly. What's that easy thing, or that thing that comes to you naturally? If you ask yourself those 3 questions, you're going to come up with your genius. You're going to come up with your expertise and your knowledge base. How's that, Andrew?
Oh, that's excellent. So that means, basically it's a personal journey. Everybody's, everybody has something that, they've gone through. So they've overcome.
If you've lived a couple of decades, there are a couple of things, some things that you had to overcome. And know that there's someone right now going through it. that thing that you've overcome, that challenge that you have already become the victor in, somebody else is going through it, and you could shortcut their challenges and that time that it takes them to get to a solution with the resources that you have, the tips and tricks that you figured out, the systems that you figured out, all of those things that you put in place in order to overcome that same thing, you could be teaching someone else how to do.
Okay. So it's constant discovery and learning about yourself.
Learning about yourself and being willing to organize your information, share your information, be willing to be open and position yourself as an expert, get past that imposter syndrome, share your information, position yourself as an authority on that particular subject. You only have to know a couple of more things than the next person. You don't have to know it all. You'll never know it all. You'll continue to grow. You'll continue to learn. That's part of it, part of this discovery and this personal journey.
Excellent. So, before we go, I know you're doing some great stuff, and talk a little bit about what you got going on that might be of interest.
So I have a soon-to-be released book called Know It, Share It, Profit. In July, actually, just in a couple of weeks, July 8th and 9th, I'm holding my Create a Product weekend, where people will come and they will create their own signature 6 to 8 week coaching program. So it's the people that have figured out what their genius is. Now they need to organize their information and create a product like a coaching program, a group coaching program. So speakers and authors who've been wanting to do this and convert their knowledge, they come to this 2-day workshop, and we create your product from soup to nuts, from concept to actually having all 6 to 8 weeks of sessions mapped out. We even name your coaching program earnestly. In those 2 days, you will have gotten it done, and by Monday have something that you can sell and offer to your clients. Create a Product weekend. Anyone that's interested can go to createaproduct.biz. That's createaproduct.biz for more information.
And we've also got Roz's LinkedIn and her Expert Maker TV website in the chat. So any way you go, I'm sure you'll be able. All roads lead to Roz. So she'll be glad to hear from you.
I'm gonna have to use that.
So thank you so much for joining me tonight, Roz.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm so happy to finally get on your show. You've got that long list of guests, and those of us who are just hanging out, waiting to be on Andrew's show. I'm glad that you finally reached out to me so that I'd have the honor of being on your show.
Well, thank you so much, and it's been great. So hang on, I'm gonna finish up and let everybody out. But thanks everybody in the audience. You can see by the comments that they've gotten value out of it, and I'm sure you'll be hearing from some. So,
yay!
Okay. All right. So once again, excited about a great show this evening. Each week we have special guests, and next week it's actually on a topic that I haven't done before, even though we're just about at 3 years of the show, so that's like 150 shows. But we haven't really done a show on social entrepreneurship, and that's becoming more and more important. So we have one of the thought leaders and world lead, one of the early researchers and developers of social entrepreneurship. So I'm very excited about having her on next week. So hopefully you'll be able to join us. And if you're listening, if you're seeing this afterwards, you may miss it there, but of course, you can always go to our YouTube channel and check us out. So, when you're in business, at the end of the day, the more that you know, the more successfully your business will grow.
Thank you for listening to Leadership Live at 805, Talking Small Business. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbpro.u.com.